At the start of December 2023, a YouTube channel known as The Paint Explainer recorded a total view count of around 2 million. By the end of that same December, that number had surged to 6.6 million, driven largely by the massive success of its early uploads. A tidal wave of low-effort, Microsoft Paint-style videos suddenly hijacked the platform's recommendation feeds, and these visually primitive videos featured jagged lines, basic primary colors, and a distinct lack of artistic polish. Despite the simple presentation, the sheer volume of these automated channels generated millions of dollars in ad revenue almost overnight. Creators from all over the world were rapidly spinning up these channels, uploading multiple times a week, and watching as the algorithm aggressively pushed their low-effort creations to millions of viewers. The absurdity of this digital gold rush lies entirely in its origin story. The exact blueprint for this mass-produced content was accidentally invented by a small creator named Redeemed Zoomer. He was a young YouTuber with a highly specific, very modest goal. He simply wanted to find a fun, accessible way to explain Christian history, denominational differences, and theology to his audience of roughly 500 subscribers. Fortunately for him, the style he created, which was partly inspired by the famous Bill Wirt's History of the Entire World, video, proved incredibly successful. So he kept on going, and here's Redeemed Zoomer talking about this.
It worked so well, I started to get greedy for subscribers. I was like, this worked, why don't I keep doing it? Now, obviously, I have had a passion for spreading the gospel, but I thought an easy way to reach a lot of people is to explain things simply and condense things into a dumbed-down Comic Sans style. So I made all religions explained in 10 minutes, with icons for the different religions. And every heresy explained with little icons for the heresies. And all arguments for God explained for the icons with the arguments. Even every sin explained in 10 minutes. So I did this for a while, and it worked really well for me.
He lacked the intention to create a globally recognized editing style or to launch 1,000 copycat channels. He just needed a visual medium that was easy to produce on a tight schedule without requiring expensive software or advanced animation skills. He settled on the most basic tool available on any standard computer: Microsoft Paint. What started as an innocent passion project about church history quickly evolved into a view farming template. This adaptation sparked an entirely new, highly profitable genre on the platform. The crude drawings were disarming to viewers, lowering their expectations for visual fidelity and forcing them to focus entirely on the audio narrative and the rapid pacing of the information. The stick figures and simple maps were just engaging enough to keep the eyes moving while the script did the heavy lifting. In this video, we'll explore the precise mechanics behind this bizarre trend and how modern generative tools made the format infinitely scalable for opportunists. Later in this video, I'll reveal how this innocent religious format was ruthlessly stripped of its soul by automation bros, leading to a brutal algorithmic correction. So, as mentioned already, the creative lineage of this crude whiteboard format actually traces back to the overwhelming sensory overload editing style of creator Bill Wirt, whose fast-paced historical retellings completely hacked the modern viewer's attention span. Redeemed Zoomer clearly saw the effectiveness of this rapid-fire retention strategy and created a highly accessible adaptation focusing strictly on his niche of Christian history. He borrowed the constant visual progression but stripped away the immense production time by relying on Microsoft Paint, the Comic Sans font, and distinct colored icons to represent different historical figures. Despite having a tiny initial subscriber base, his rapid-fire explainer videos exploded in popularity. Viewers were captivated by how quickly they could learn complex historical timelines without feeling bogged down by jargon or confusing timelines and video structures. This massive success of the modern YouTube explainer channel relies heavily on the ability to recognize a working format and adapt it to a new audience. A new creator, operating under the name The Paint Explainer, watched Redeemed Zoomer dominate the Christian education niche and recognized a massive, untapped opportunity. He took that exact visual blueprint of the jagged MS Paint lines, the fast narration, and the simple visual metaphors, and applied it to other topics like the history of the internet, geographic anomalies, and global conflicts. This pivot unlocked a massive general audience that had a high appetite for easily digestible trivia. This direct adaptation of the format allowed the new channel to rapidly overtake the original creator in reach and revenue. By tackling topics with broader appeal, the Paint Explainer demonstrated that the MS Paint aesthetic was a universally effective vehicle for delivering information. The crude visuals actually worked to the creator's advantage. Because the art was so basic, viewers lowered their expectations for fluid animation or high production value. They only expected the visual on screen to accurately represent the sentence being spoken. So, as long as the on-screen drawing changed every time a new concept was introduced, the viewer remained completely engaged. Pivoting to general information completely removed the need for a distinct human personality or a deep personal connection to the subject matter. When a creator makes content about deeply held religious beliefs, authenticity is paramount. When a creator explains why a specific bridge in London was built, the information itself is the star of the show. Without the pressure of maintaining a specific niche or a personal brand, the production process became entirely detached from the creator's identity, and this detachment was the critical turning point, proving that the format could function perfectly well as an assembly line. Redeemed Zoomer recently expressed deep regret for inadvertently laying the groundwork for what happened next. He publicly apologized for his role in the dumbing down of the internet, realizing that his innocent attempt to make history fun had been weaponized.
I started it. It's my fault. I am to blame for this and I feel bad about it.
The primitive nature of the MS Paint format had become the perfect vehicle for a new, highly aggressive breed of YouTube creators. These individuals realized they could mass produce this aesthetic without ever picking up a stylus, drawing a single frame, or speaking a single word into a microphone. They saw a purely financial opportunity, and they had the technological tools to exploit it at an unprecedented scale. The transition from a clever, human-led channel to a fully automated view farm requires a highly streamlined technology stack. As soon as opportunists realized that viewers would watch simple stick figures accompanied by interesting facts, they immediately looked for ways to remove human labor from the equation entirely. Channel operators began using large language models to instantly research broad historical topics and generate long scripts. Instead of spending days reading articles and crafting a compelling narrative, they could prompt a chatbot to generate an 8-minute essay on the history of the Roman Empire in a matter of seconds. For the audio narration, they bypassed the need for decent microphones or voice acting skills by using text-to-speech platforms. They heavily relied on a popular, highly recognizable voice model known as Liam.
You have a heap of sand. If you remove 1 grain at a time, when does it stop being a heap?
This particular AI voice has a slightly raspy, authoritative tone that perfectly mimics the cadence of a professional YouTube essayist. By running the AI-generated script through the Liam voice model, these creators instantly possessed a professional-sounding voiceover that required 0 retakes. The visual component was automated through basic screen recording and tracing software, or by generating crude images using AI. A process that once took weeks could now be completed by a single person in under 2 hours. The financial incentive driving this automated assembly line was staggering. Channels operating in the factual explainer space consistently see RPMs ranging from around $4 to $8. Because the AI software required to run these automated channels cost practically nothing, operators were looking at digital business models with profit margins bordering on 99%. A single viral explainer video could yield tens of thousands of dollars in pure profit, all achieved with 0 employees and 0 physical overhead. This asymmetric upside sparked a massive gold rush across the platform, and YouTube was suddenly flooded with thousands of identical videos from newly minted clone channels. Their overarching strategy was pure volume, and they treated the platform as a numbers game, hoping to catch the algorithmic wave through sheer force of output by uploading multiple times a week. However, a language model inherently lacks the ability to structure facts in a way that naturally maintains human curiosity. An AI can output a chronological list of events, but it struggles to build tension or deliver a satisfying narrative payoff. The creators behind these clone channels were mostly inexperienced marketers looking for a quick payout, and they simply dumped the raw, unedited AI scripts directly into the text-to-speech program without reviewing them for flow or pacing. Many of these channels also resorted to directly plagiarizing Wikipedia articles or scraping scripts from established human creators to save even more time. They assumed the crude drawings would distract the audience from the stolen or robotic writing. As the platform became heavily saturated with these AI-generated explainer videos, a natural and highly aggressive correction took shape. The YouTube recommendation system is simply a direct reflection of audience behavior. It monitors how viewers interact with content above everything else, and in the early days of this trend, the system aggressively promoted pain explainer videos because the simple drawings and direct scripting resulted in exceptionally high average view duration and click-through rates. Early adopters of the format were rewarded because the sheer novelty of the crude art kept people watching much longer than usual. When thousands of poorly structured clones flooded the market, audience behavior drastically shifted. Viewers would see an intriguing thumbnail and a compelling title, click on the video expecting an entertaining explanation, and immediately realize they were listening to a robotic script.
Core i3. Core i3 is Intel's low-tier processor.
The telltale signs became painfully obvious, and the AI voice model became so overused that viewers instantly recognized it as a marker of low-effort content. The scripts lacked human nuance, often jumping erratically between unrelated facts or using bizarre phrasing that a human writer would never naturally choose. Upon hearing the disjointed, purely AI script, viewers clicked away from the videos in massive numbers within the first 30 seconds. This rapid abandonment completely destroyed the retention curves of the clone channels. When a video has a massive drop-off early in its runtime, the algorithm receives a strong signal that the packaging of the video was misleading or that the content itself is highly unsatisfying. As a result, the system immediately stops recommending that video to new viewers. The pure volume strategy of the clone channels completely backfired because every single upload was generating terrible audience satisfaction signals. The high volume of low-effort clones inadvertently trained the viewer base to become deeply skeptical of the entire whiteboard art style. Audiences developed an immune response to the MS Paint aesthetic, and they actively looked for repetitive sentence structures, unnatural pacing, and factual hallucinations. When an AI script confidently stated an incorrect historical date or hallucinated a completely fabricated event, viewers rushed to the comment section to point out the errors. While comments generally drive engagement, a comment section entirely filled with people pointing out glaring factual inaccuracies acts as a strong negative signal for long-term channel health. There's a lot of people who actively avoid AI content, clicking off as soon as they detect a whiff of AI. A good number of them take it a step further by disliking and clicking on the Don't Recommend Channel button on YouTube, ensuring that the algorithm won't show the channel again. The combination of terrible viewer retention, high dislike ratios, and active community reporting effectively killed the algorithmic reach of hundreds of automated channels overnight. The creators running these view farms watched their analytics plummet to zero, and because they'd built their channels on a foundation of automated volume rather than a genuine connection with an audience, they had no loyal community to fall back on. When the algorithm stopped heavily promoting their specific visual gimmick, their businesses simply evaporated. They completely misunderstood the core value proposition of the platform, and they believed the crude drawings and the automated voice were the keys to success, failing to realize that those elements were simply the delivery mechanism for a good story. The creators who survived this brutal algorithmic correction understood a fundamental truth about content creation. Crude visuals and automated voiceovers are a low-friction wrapper for delivering high-quality storytelling. Channels like the original Paint Explainer maintained their massive viewership because they never abandoned the human element of curation. They recognized the value of the fast-paced format but refused to hand the steering wheel over to a language model. They continued to use real people to research unique topics, structure compelling narrative arcs, and rigorously verify every single fact before production began. So, for aspiring creators operating on the platform today, the technical execution of making a video remains practically free, which means the barrier to entry for production quality has fallen to zero. Because technical polish is no longer a competitive advantage, algorithmic success relies entirely on mastering human storytelling, meticulous pacing, and finding a unique editorial perspective. The rise of the Paint Explainer format proves viewers are perfectly willing to watch simple stick figures drawn on a white background for 20 minutes straight, provided the underlying information is highly relevant and instantly accessible. The tools are easily available to everyone, making outthinking and outriding the competition the only viable way to stand out. To survive the platform's continuous algorithmic updates, you must treat AI as a background assistant while retaining absolute, uncompromising control over your narrative structure. If you're serious about treating YouTube like a business, you need to invest in your own skills rather than relying on automated shortcuts. The ultimate lesson from the great AI clone war is to prioritize extreme clarity over superficial polish. Focus your energy on finding unique angles that haven't been covered 1,000 times before. Verify your facts and add in relevant B-roll to add authority to your video, in turn building trust with your audience. Practice and master the delivery of your script before you even consider the visual presentation. The standard for execution is constantly rising, and the platform will relentlessly punish lazy, mass-produced content while highly rewarding creators who craft bespoke, thoughtful experiences. So, if you found this deep dive into the mechanics of the creator economy valuable, please leave a like on the video, subscribe to the channel, and ring that bell. Also, let us know whether you're still watching the Pain Explainer style videos or if you've moved on. Also, for those of you who want a personalized report and specific advice on your channel direction, make sure to hit myself or my fellow scriptwriter and YouTube researcher, Raman, up in the Calendly links below. If you want to learn more about our YouTube journey, check out our channel intro video. Anyways guys, thank you so much for watching and stay curious.